You don't
Mm.
need the money. You need the knowledge. You need everything but the money. Money is plentiful. These lenders are literally in the business of giving out money. If they don't give out money, they don't make any money. That's their
Mm-hmm.
whole business. So they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for good people to give money to. And those people have knowledge and connections. So there's two things in real estate, knowledge and money. The more you have of one, the less you need of the other. So if you have $1 million, go do the school of hard knocks, get burned for $500,000 and you'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can invest the other half. If you don't have $1 million, you better get the knowledge, invest in the knowledge so that you can go in with 20K and execute like you have 200,000.
Welcome to 365 Brothers, the podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Robin Shine, and get ready for another episode where I introduce you to another amazing, interesting, intriguing, and inspiring African-American man from the United States. They come from a variety of professions, various parts of this nation, and all of them bring their wisdom. So, chill out, relax, and listen in. Make sure you follow us. We're on Instagram at 365brothers. Also, you can go to 365brothers.com/Linktree, LINKTREE, 365brothers.com/Linktree. You'll find links to all things 365 Brothers, as well as links to anything Robin Shine. Again, thank you, and let's listen in. Today, we are speaking with a real estate entrepreneur and coach. After graduating from Columbia University in 2011, my guest embarked on a career in financial planning at AXA Advisors before transitioning to high net worth management at Bridgewater Advisors. In 2015, he launched his own real estate development company in his hometown of Philadelphia, and he's since gone on to gut and renovate over 300 properties across the country. He founded 24/7 Cash Flow University to teach students how to create passive income and escape their 9-to-5 desk job. So if you're like part of this great recession or the new thing, the quiet quit, then you want to listen in. And through his 100 Keys Masterclass, he teaches students how to full gut renovate, acquire, and stabilize cash flowing rental property portfolios. He lives in the Bronx with his wife, Zia Acosta Grimes, and his two sons, Brian III and Tomas. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Brian Grimes. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's the beginning of the year and it's post-pandemic. We know there's a lot of stuff happening in the career world. There are certain companies in the tech field, for example, are dealing with more layoffs. And I love this opportunity to talk to someone who's about creating wealth in what we know is the number one wealth building opportunity that this nation provides. Most millionaires make their money in their real estate investments, no matter how they start off. Maintaining it is something different. And so I love that we get a chance to talk to you. I love that there's a brother who's teaching this stuff. And so, I'm still gushing, even though I already introduced you. So let me just back up and say, is there anything, Brian, that you'd like to share with my listeners before we go into the 365 Brothers questions?
If you, research my YouTube channel, Brian Loves Cash Flow, I'm talking about all different types of stuff. Some people know me from a former life where I was a big basketball player, and that was kind of like my whole life. My first high school game, they flew us out to Akron University to play some guy named LeBron James.
You played that guy?
Yeah, in high school. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, especially on his home turf. So
okay, hold on. Which team won?
I mean, his team won. So we were nationally ranked. I think we were top 10 and they were like top 15. This was his junior year. But we had, a 7-foot center, 6'8".
Cool.
Yeah, we had like an NBA size, 6'8", small forward. I was about 6'5". We had.
You guys recruit or something?
Yeah, we just had, some talent pool. But
wow.
No, they were special. It wasn't just him either. It was really the group. They had a really close-knit group. They played so well together that they were hard to figure out as a team. And then you have him who's just absurdly good.
Did you also play at Columbia?
Yeah, I did play at Columbia
Obvious.
and played at LaSalle University, which is a Philly Big Five school. And I transferred into Columbia University after my freshman year at LaSalle and played 4 years at Columbia. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, and I can't even remember if I actually gave you a chance to share anything that you wanted to share with the listeners. I think I cut you off when you started talking about being known for basketball.
I think it's just that, in terms of some of the offerings we have, one offering I don't talk enough about is that we do have a platform where we build properties for some of our students. And that's been pretty powerful in tapping people into our internal leverage, our contractors. We got like 100 contractors that we built over 100 properties with, all of our teams, all the lenders, all the different resources that are out there. And that's for people who are like, either they're in priced out markets or they're just busy. A lot of us we want to invest in real estate, but we're busy or we just don't have the energy to truly build our own operations. So I've opened up mine to provide leverage to people. And that's been like phenomenal.
What'd you say? Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I love that. I would love to be more in real estate, but I don't want to manage no property. I don't want to build anything. I don't want to build it. I love hearing that. All right. So first question, we do the warm up around here. What's the favorite song or movie, either now or all time?
I mean, one of my favorite movies is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I love that movie just because it's still true. Like the older I get, sometimes you just need to step out of it. As we get older, we have more responsibility, more things drawing at us every day. And it seems like those 24 hours you get just get shorter and shorter. And it's important every now and then to step back and smell the roses, like look around, appreciate what you accomplished. Because even though, a lot of us, we set goals and then as we get close to them, we just move the bar higher and higher. We're never satisfied. To step back and appreciate where you're at versus where you were, it's always good to do every now and then. That's definitely one of my favorite movies for just like taking a break from serious life and enjoying the moment, because this thing is definitely short. And if you don't enjoy it, you're just going to miss it.
So what's one of your favorite ways to take a break from all that's going on?
I do calisthenics.
Calisthenics?
I just like to lift. I go to the park probably 5 days a week. It's part of New York culture, we'll say. But just going to the park, push-ups, pull-ups, body weight squats, lunges, dips, and just doing that type of stuff. That for me, that's more like meditative than anything. But I'm very into being fit, diet, and just fitness. So I put a lot of focus into that, but that's more like my meditation, I would say, than anything.
I get that.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be a healthier one than beer. What about a favorite moment from your childhood?
I think that's all like basketball related, because my whole life used to just be, especially like in the summer, wake up, go out to the playground, and I'd be out there all day, just playing pickup.
Like all the summers you did that, was there one that kind of stood out where you were just like, hey, this is it?
Probably as I got better at basketball, which was around like age 12, 13, where I could start like dunking and doing different things. It got more fun. And then traveling, getting on travel teams kind of around that time, and getting sneakers and getting the gear and going around the country playing other people. That was definitely a lot of fun. Just doing that travel stuff and getting those opportunities to tour the country, because a lot of people don't. Like even now, my wife, she's been out of the country a lot, but in terms of going across the country, I've been way more places than she's, ever seen, just through basketball. Basketball's taken me even around the world. I've definitely seen some places through that. And those are always like good memories.
Nice. Where was one of the favorite places you went while you were doing travel games?
When we were younger, they would have a tournament in Vegas. And that was fun, really, for basketball. I mean, it was good hanging out and relaxing with people. But you're young; it's not like you're gambling or doing anything there.
Right.
But playing basketball. But we just had a really good team. It was a fun team. As I got older, I did like a Europe tour in college where we went to Nice, Monaco, Ghent, South France, Amsterdam, and that was a lot of fun. Ghent was probably the most fun because
Why?
I mean, you talked about the beer. They have like 115 indigenous beers just, that are local to Ghent. And you go into a pub, they give you a pint for €1, at least at this time, or, €1.50. And it was just a lot of fun hanging out in that kind of old town atmosphere. So Ghent is definitely a place I want to go back. Nice and Monaco are amazing. The beaches there and kind of all of that. So no, there's a lot of fun spots.
Excellent. So we can already tell from just your experiences through basketball before you even started your professional career. But I am going to ask you about your accomplishments, and I'm interested in two in particular. The first, the one that means the most to you personally. And then the second, the accomplishment that when others hear it, it's the one that most often gets the, or wow. So let's start with the first one.
I think doing what I'm doing is my biggest accomplishment so far. Going out and having success in finance, like I always wanted to do something to help other people, which is why I got into financial planning and all these things in finance. And now I feel like I'm finally in the position after going out, battling, the school of hard knocks and losing probably millions of dollars in this game, coming back and bringing this information to other people and helping them, seeing like what my mentees are out doing. I was just talking to somebody last night who, since joining my mentorship program, acquired like 3 multifamily properties in 6 months. And their last being a 6-unit building. And that, it brings me like, as an accomplishment, the most pride that I was able to build a platform that could truly help and change people's lives. That's probably the most important thing that I get to do on a daily basis, outside of spending time with my family, my kids, and just raising, my 2 boys. But from like just an accomplishment thing outside of family, that would be it. The thing that people are most impressed by is really the 300 properties in 5 to 7 years. They're just like, how did you do that? How does somebody even tackle that? And when people hear about that, they're usually pretty surprised, especially when they see me behind it and they're like, wait, this guy still looks kind of young. How is he running around doing all of this stuff? So I would say those are definitely the 2.
It's really beautiful to get to see people's lives change as a result of what the information you're providing, the context you're providing, the skill sets that you're providing. That's super cool. And long-term listeners know I teach econ, so I'm all about that wealth building, our generational wealth building, right? My uncle just sent me this beautiful notebook. Like he was an actuary and he's trying to enroll all of the cousins to pull together and start an investment fund, like really trying to build generational wealth. But he's got that background, that skill set. You know what I mean? He understands. But translating that, and this is my point, translating that so that everybody gets it and understands it and anyone can get access to. Now, that's a unique skill set.
Yeah. No, it is. I think there are only so many people that have sat on both sides. Like I'm somebody, my family growing up, it's like nobody knew about money. And that was why I got into financial planning. I looked around at my closest people and it's like, well, we collectively don't know anything. So I better go and get pushed into this field where at least if I can learn, I can correct some of our habits, maybe generational habits, and we can improve. But I've also been lucky enough to, I went into school in the inner city. I grew up in the C-class neighborhood. And then basketball took me to the prep schools and the Ivy League institutions. I'm from both worlds. I mean, when I go to renovate properties, I might be standing boots on the ground in West Baltimore or in North Philly. And then I can go stand in a boardroom at JP Morgan with a suit on and talk at that intellectual level as well. And not many people have that chameleon skill set to be able to take concepts from that level. I've managed money for multi-millionaires, people with $100 million. And I've sat down with mom and pop who's just trying to put $100K of insurance or get a burial policy for granddad. So I've seen everything and kind of I've probably literally talked to thousands of people since graduating from college because I've been in some form of sales or financial planning and just working with people. Wow. So I've just sat down with so many groups. I know how to break down complex concepts and just make them simple. It's just what I do by nature. So there's definitely a skill set there that not everybody has. And I get that a lot. People are just like, nobody's ever made it sound this simple to me or spoken directly to me and not made me feel like I'm stupid. And it's like, no, you're not stupid. You just need this thing explained at a level where you can grasp it and grow and then outgrow some of these phases so that you can get to the next level.
Yeah. And talk to someone who doesn't get off on speaking in that business ease, that real estate ease. Well, if you're the lessee and you're blah, 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 we're going to put that together in a writ and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
and go ahead.
And most of those people don't know anything. Is they try to do it with me, but then they get intimidated because I can just see right through it. And it's like, they don't know anything. They're talking that way because they're trying to show their intelligence. That doesn't really work on people with super intelligence, because I've sat down with the millionaires and managed money at that level. I know those people and they don't care about that stuff. They see right through it. So that stuff doesn't work at that level. It becomes laughable. It's definitely not something I care to do. I'm talking to people that are from the walk of life like I was. Like I'm kind of talking to myself, basically. Even my course is designed primarily to prevent people from losing money, getting burned by contractors, and just showing them the right way to do it because I've done it the wrong way. I've lost $500,000, so you don't have to.
And I appreciate you being candid about that.
I think that's the cool part about real estate, though, is people really value your mistakes in real estate. So if you don't have too much ego and you're not super embarrassed, you just be like, look, I got ripped for 40 grand by a contractor. Here's exactly how. Here's the game they play. Here's how you, and people really, it almost to me, it gives meaning to the loss. It's like, oh, the loss happened for a reason. It wasn't just meaningless. It was so that hundreds or thousands of people could learn from it. And it gives a purpose to every loss in real estate.
I do want to ask you one question. Right now, so much is happening in the real estate market. We know that investors have been buying a lot more single home families. And some of what I hear is some of that you're doing is investing, but a lot of have turned them into rentals. But now that the interest rates are going up and business cycles are just at their cycles, and so now we're about to go into a contraction or a recession. Where do you see the investors, who show up with all cash offers? Do you see that continuing to the same degree, or do you see that moderating? I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, there are billions of dollars being poured into the market. I think JP Morgan raised a fund to pour at least $1 billion, probably closer to 5 or 10 billion into these single family homes. BlackRock's doing it. There are people from out of the country doing it, big funds. The University of California has like a pension fund. They just partnered up with some company. Actually, they partnered up with BlackRock and put $4 billion into their fund for the University of California. So that stuff's going on. I mean, people are going to keep buying it. And those are the cash buyers. Those are the ones propping up the markets. What we have to understand is there's a window of opportunity for the average person to learn the knowledge, acquire the skill set to go out and build portfolios. And that window is going to close. It's just like hoop dreams. Like eventually you get older, you blow your knees out and the window just closes on you. If you don't get in now or relatively soon within the next decade, you may just miss it permanently, because there are what we call renter nations across the globe. If you go to certain zip codes in California, there will be 80% of the people who live there rent. If you do that in New York, 80%, 90% of the people there rent. If you go to London, we will see this, and America is becoming a renter nation. They want to make it a renter nation. It's part of the new world order type of thing where you will own nothing and be happy. They want to make this a renter nation where you don't own where you live. And therefore they think you'll be happier, but really maybe they'll be happier because you're paying, you're working and paying their rent and making other people rich. So when in doubt, follow what big money, smart money is doing. And smart money is buying residential real estate. What I like to do is build affordable housing, because while they are buying all these properties in the Sun Belt in the Midwest, they aren't really building affordable housing. They're just building their housing. I like to build workforce and affordable housing because that crisis is not being addressed. It won't be anytime soon. And for those who build that, your demand is growing by the day, especially during times of a recession. People will downsize into affordable housing. So the way to get rich right now is affordable housing and workforce housing. The person who's driving for Amazon, who's driving Uber, making $2-3 grand a month. Can you build a place for them to rent $750 a month, utilities included? Can you build product like that? Because if you can, there are millions of Americans living on their parents' couch or in the basement, and they're going to flock to that product and make you wealthy.
You heard it here. I'm so glad I went ahead and asked you that. I do know that there are renter nations, and I've wondered how they got there. Like, I not wonder, like, I'm gonna look it up, but I've just been like, how come everybody here rent? How come everybody here rents? And so I really appreciate the knowledge you just dropped about that could be something headed to a country that you live in.
Yeah, it's headed towards you. And the easiest way to track it is it's a basic multiplier. Take the median area income of any area that you live in. Let's say Philly is 50K. 6x of 50K, 300,000. That's the affordable range for the average American is 6x. If you go to California, the housing price versus the median income is 18 to 20x. It's unaffordable. It's in bubble territory. And the average American cannot afford a starter home that is 20x the median area income. So once you stay within that 6 to 7x range, this is how you know if a city, a municipality, a area of the market is overpriced in a bubble or within reach of the average American. Is that 6 to 7x multiple. Once it gets outside of that, you start to get into unaffordability. Once you get into these high teens, you're in bubble territory.
Thank you.
Easy way to track this stuff.
I love that because I love tracking numbers and stuff like that. But I don't recall hearing that before. 6 times 6x is 6 times median income. You can affordability, like a simple way to do it. If that is what you are dropping, I just say, wow, that kudos from one educator to another. You're getting it done. You're effective. Let's talk about words. What is a favorite quote, saying, metaphor, or book?
I believe this is a quote from Frank Sinatra. It's not how good you're doing, it's how long you're doing good. And that one really stuck with me because we live in such a flashy social media time period where you'll see a lot of people who appear to be doing good and they're flashing. Some people are scamming and doing good, but they're not going to be doing good for very long. This is a long game, and you don't want to hustle backwards to achieve and then lose it all because you're doing it the wrong way. You want to build for the long term. You want to be doing good for a long time. People come back in 10, 20 years and they're like, oh, he's still rolling. He's still rocking his real estate. He's still building cash flow. He's still help. So you want to constantly be building yourself into a long-term win versus some of these flashy short-term wins that you'll see on social media. So that's a quote that it just always pops up throughout maybe the day or the week is kind of that philosophy. That's more of a philosophy on life that I think is important for people who are entrepreneurs. This is not the fast game. This is the slow and steady, wins the race game.
I love that. Thank you for those words. Let's talk about some events in your life. What is a moment, event, or a conversation that either changed the trajectory of your life or had a significant impact on your life?
Man, there's really a lot because I've had some good mentors over the duration of time. I remember I was doing a internship at the New York Mercantile Exchange for a former Columbia football player who is trading heat and gas options on the trading floor. And I remember
he's actually on the trading floor.
Oh yeah, like he's a big dog. Like he was making at least $5 million a year, and these guys are working 3-4 hours a day if they work that day trading on a tablet. So I remember sitting in the pits with him, and it's kind of like the movie Trading Places. Yeah, with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. And I'm in those pits, and we're just sitting down.
I'm sorry.
And no, it was super cool.
Look, you making an econ nerd go, oh my God.
Oh no, it was. I mean, it's amazing. I was also cool. I'm fanning out on these guys. I'm like, whoa, and he sits me down. This guy doesn't even really talk a lot, so I don't know why he's like this day. He's like, Brian, you want to go to the NBA? And I'm 22, I'm 6'7", 230, just all muscle. And I'm like, yeah, that's a goal. Like I want to play professionally. And he's like, how much do you think Kobe Bryant made last year? I'm like, I don't know, 10 million. I don't know. And he's like, you see him over there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he made $80 million last year. And I'm like, and he's like, this is the effing NBA. I'm LeBron. That's Kobe. And that's all he said. And I'm like, whoa. It kind of just flipped my whole perspective upside down. Cause I'm like, man, these guys, I'm watching them. They're not grinding. They're not physically exerting themselves. They're working mentally. They're trading on tablets and they're leaving at lunch at 12, going back with their family. And the market's dry, the volatility's down, whatever. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, these guys are making more money than athletes, like the best athletes in the world. Yeah. And it just changed the way that I thought about what I should apply my energy to, because no matter how good you are at sports, you're going to get old and you're not going to play for very long. And these guys they're doing this forever and they're making crazy money. So it was just like very transformative. That experience stuck with me and it started to transform me like right from there, where I was like, man, I need to look at this finance thing. So I knew I wanted to get into finance if I wasn't going to play professionally. And I've been in finance, my whole professional career in one way or another.
Kudos to that mentor, because that brother knew how to speak it. Like he knew exactly how to lay it down. I'm clear. It might not have been the first time he said that, but clearly that time that he said it, it landed.
Oh, it connected. Yeah. No, it connected. It definitely connected. Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome. What is a moment or event that highlights for you the experience of being a Black man in the United States?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure on a positive level or like some negative. I can break down my experience as being a Black man and being in some of these environments, the high net worth environment, hearing things like, we really like you because you're so articulate. You'll hear these types of things, which is like, it's almost like a sly, because it's like, oh, well, you're articulate because I wouldn't expect you to be because you're like a Black guy. So you'll hear a lot of these things. One time I was in like the high net worth firm and I'm in like a meeting and a comment comes up. They're like, oh, somebody's like, oh, we're going on vacation in South Carolina. Somebody's like, oh yeah, they have beautiful like trade ports from like the slave trade days. And the people were like, well, we're not going for that. And they're like looking at me. So it's like when you're in these environments, sometimes things that are said when you're not there are still said. And then you're looked at. So it's always a fish out of water type of experience, or just comments or just being thrown into things. But I think as a Black person, male or female, in some of these environments, you just will develop a thicker skin. A lot of people don't even mean harm, I've found. There's just general exposure. A lot of people are just used to their circles and everybody's prejudiced. Even on the flip side, even Black people are prejudiced, and even more so because they think they can't be. And then the Spanish speaking community is very, like, if you get into it, it's like, oh, the Puerto Ricans don't like the Dominicans because the Puerto Ricans are here first. Right. And then the Dominicans came in. Right. Yeah. So I try not to put people down or anything. There are pros. Sometimes you can pull out your Black card in a certain situation. Like, you never know. And it just is what it is. I am who I am. I don't know any other experience. I think it's hard for everybody. I think everybody kind of deals with stuff. Even people think there's like super, super white privilege, but there's some people who are like, I'm broke too. What white privilege? There's a lot of classism in America that even can go over racial boundaries, I've found. America's very classist. So even being in certain social classes, you cannot have certain privileges if you're not from that social status or class. So it's weird. I think it's a lot, and I don't focus on it, to be honest. I just focus on the mission. My mission is real estate. My mission is educating people. I don't really have time to necessarily focus on racism. And luckily I'm not exposed because I'm not in these corporate environments anymore. I'm my own boss. I create, my own opportunity. And that's why I push people to be entrepreneurs and just forge their own path, because then you can wake up every day, meditate, work out, spend time with your family, and build wealth, and I don't have to care about these things. It's part of the reason why I live in the Bronx. I get to hide out in the Bronx. It's all black and brown here. I'm just kind of hid out and I blend right in to the community, and I just don't focus on it a lot. Keep it focused on the mission. I'm really too busy to even think about it sometimes. Yeah, but I have experienced it in the walk. I've been profiled even at prep school by security for the school. So I've dealt with it, but I don't carry it around with me. It's something that happened and you have to get thick skin and move on.
One of the things that I hear you saying is that it's important to be compassionate. And even though you're talking about, being too busy, like for me, I hear that as a form of self-care.
It is a form of self-care. It is a form of non-focus on something that might be agitating, or it's like you only have so much energy to give. And I like to stay, more positive and on that frequency of energy. I also do truly, though, believe that people are people. So they're good people and they're bad people. And they're in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So they can look just like you and be the biggest snake and worst person you've ever, met. There are narcissists out there. There are all different types of people. And we can't get lost in that, because if you get too far in the race, you start to miss out on, there's good people. I have friends and people who've helped me. Some of my mentors, the guy I'm telling you about at the Mercantile Exchange, the trader who changed my life, was not a black man, so it just is what it is. There are good people that help you along the way and pull you up. And there are, bad people who try to push you down, and they look and come from every race, color, creed, shape, size, and age group. So you want to get into reading people's character versus their exterior. You want to know what's on the inside, how they really move and what's in their heart.
Absolutely. One other thing that I love that you brought up, you talked about being in groups with white people and they're saying things that they wouldn't normally say around you, but they're so comfortable. And one of the things I've noticed in my lived experience is that when you are in environments that have historically been nearly all white, it's like the first few that come in who are people, black or brown, they forget that you're there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because they're like, this has always been a safe space where I can talk about how I go to the Carolinas, and then we go and visit some of the slave ports, and and it's so wonderful. And have you seen the Civil War reenactment? This one where the Confederates win. It's just really funny. It's just funny.
Yeah, no, that happens. That definitely happens. And it's like, it's a lack of awareness. Like they can't see from any other perspective.
And that's why it's compassion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is a compassion thing. But it is what it is. Some people don't have that really harmful, they don't have the harmful bone in their body. They're just kind of clueless in that sense. Some people are, harmful in their intent. And it's just being able to see clearly, not reactive in terms of like rage, but just see clearly who's who, and just treat people fairly, treat people how you'd want to be treated, and just give yourself distance from some people at the end of the day. Yeah, it's just good people and bad people at the end of the day. I think Nipsey Hussle, he talks about it. He has this breakout clip where he talked about gangbanging and how they would get in the car to do a mission, and he was riding around a neighborhood on the other side of the neighborhood looking for himself, somebody who looked like him, dressed like him, walked like him. And it's like sometimes the people within your own community can be the most dangerous to you. Statistically, even that would probably be true for all communities. Whether you're black or white or wherever you live, you're most likely to be harmed by somebody in your own community. You just have to be conscious out here. You really do. You have to be conscious.
It pays to be self-aware and observant, and and then using that mind to kind of pull it all together and come up with your own assessment. Well, I know that brothers have to do a lot of assessing when it comes to interactions with law enforcement. Good, bad, or otherwise, what has your experience been with law enforcement?
I haven't personally had a really bad experience with law enforcement. One of my uncles is a cop. I don't have any, negative energy towards, and I think that can be bad. Like if you have negative energy towards law enforcement, you can do things that you shouldn't do. like just be too combative and egging, people on and doing stuff like that. You just shouldn't do. You don't know when anybody's having a bad day. You certainly don't want to give that energy to somebody with a gun on their hip and with, training, physical training and authority, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I think my energy is always pretty calm and to just treat people respectfully. You definitely can get profiled, right? So you're driving around, you're a Black guy, you're in this area, you get pulled over. But most of the time I'm like in a suit, I'm going to work and they're not looking for me. So I roll down my windows. Hey, how we doing, guy? And they're just like, oh, this guy's in a freaking suit. Let's go. But I think it's tough because there's a lot more policing in urban communities. And then hip hop culture is to dress a certain way. And then you look like some people who might be really selling drugs and doing stuff and in and out of court and jail. And you're dressed the same. You're in the same neighborhoods. Then
it's called drug courier profile. And you're allowed to do that.
Well, they do it. And then if they approach you and you have this defensive attitude because you watch too much social media and you're like all souped up and negative, or you haven't been trained by your parents to like, hey, this is how you carry yourself, roll down the windows, do this, and just stay calm and be polite, then you could get yourself in a situation. That's not the time to try to flex muscle. It's just a time to go through the process. Sometimes cops are just doing their job. Sometimes they're knuckleheads. So they're going to be good ones, bad ones, people having a good day, bad day. But if your energy is good, you're more likely to attract a good. But people have run into issues. I haven't.
The beautiful thing is I often tell brothers who say, I don't have anything negative. It's like, I wouldn't want to interview 365 and every single one of them did.
Yeah. But I'm a landowner. So you got to do an eviction. The sheriff comes out. You're dealing with the cops. And I've been on both sides and working on that angle as well. Or somebody breaks in your house, you call the cops and they come and secure the property and do different things. So the cops are just people and they have a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. If the United States was a woman, Brian, what would you say to her?
I love him. I honestly love America. I would say, just thank you. I think America's it's a good place. I'm glad I'm to be an American. Quite frankly, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's still a good place to be. A lot of people want to be here from all over the world. There's a lot of opportunity to climb up the social ladder. Being mobile and able to climb up the ladder here is easier than a lot of places. So I think it's a great country, even though there's so much going on and so much transition. Economically, we're kind of going into a recession. I think our global status is in transition right now as a world leader. Politics is getting crazier. Everything's just getting crazier. I would say, I think we need to restore in America. We need to focus more on certain things like affordable housing. People at the bottom, we are getting this widened gap right now between rich and poor and middle class getting squeezed. And I think it's pretty dangerous. We're kind of creating like a powder cake situation because people are really getting disenfranchised. But I think the solutions to that are really to come together as communities to really restore communities. We have to do something with our neighborhoods in terms of turning them around economically, creating jobs, creating opportunities for people, or we're going to have a heck of a situation moving into the future. And who knows where we're going to land? Like, we really don't know.
I co-sign on. These are some interesting times.
Yeah, it's some interesting times.
I think of the 1920s. Not that I'm that old, but just, having taught history and whatnot. World War I, there had been all these new weapons that were created because of the industrial age. And so machine guns, like things that could kill people in numbers that they had not experienced. And so that was one of the reasons it was so deadly. So first of all, everybody living at that time is like, what the heck? All these guys, all of them fighting, they're doing what? And so that was crazy. And then right after that, you had the 20s, and over here in the US, it was prohibition, so nobody could drink. What? And then you had, people drinking anyway, you had gangsters coming up, and then all of a sudden you have the Great Depression. And I just imagine sometimes I think about that and I'm like, gosh, it must have seemed crazy as all get out. And then to go from the Great Depression into World War II, like that's, you know what I'm saying? And so I think about ooh, to have lived through that, which I did not, that had to be crazy and mind blowing. And that's the only thing that keeps me from thinking that I'm in an alternate dimension right now. Because this stuff right here,
Yeah, this stuff is crazy. Yeah, it's insane.
We've had in recent months, people who are running for office, now they're being shot at for the election results. And it is an interesting time. But I'll tell you what I actually heard in your response to that question. I actually heard in the background you kind of having your hand on the United States shoulder going, girl. It's crazy right now. I don't know. There's some things you need to do. And, I'm going to be praying for you because China's been coming in the club and getting all the looks.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a shift. It's a shift, but we lead a lot of things. Like we lead tech. I was talking to somebody the other day and saying either we invent the best tech people or we're stealing from everybody and we just don't know. But yeah, there's definitely a combo. But it's just a big flux. Like these next 10 years are going to be very, very rocky in terms of economics. This is a real life economics class. Every day is a lesson.
Every day. Every day.
Yeah.
Thinking back, I know there's no way to quantify and say, this is my number one love moment. But what is a moment that exemplifies what love is to you?
Definitely like my kids. Just today, like I was on the couch, I was, knocking out work. I'm doing all this stuff. And my son's just like comes to me with his little like thermos and just like jams it in my hand. I'm like, oh, you want some more tea? He's like, yeah. So he goes back, sits down in his little chair in front of the TV, watching his cartoons. I go, I wash out his thermos, clean out the straw, prepare his juice, come back over, put it out, hand it over to him. He just snatches it and starts drinking. And I'm like, I must really love, people must really love their kids because they're so ungrateful. They just snatch from you and like just push and pry. But that's love, because I was like, you have to love your kids or else you just wouldn't do this for for anybody or any human being. So I think just your kids will humble you. The family setting is humbling and you're just like really there to serve. So that's one aspect of it. The other for me is waking up and doing what I do every day, doing the real estate, getting to meditate, getting to work out. I'm really in love with the lifestyle of it. To me, real estate's not about money. You will make money, but it's about lifestyle. It's about freedom. And I'm in love with just being able to do what I want, spend my time doing what I want and what I love. And I love real estate and I love working out. And I love like mental health and physical health and well-being. And I love spending time with my family. And it's a love affair in that sense, because you're just constantly bouncing from one thing you enjoy to another.
That's beautiful. At the end of the episodes, I always share the impression that I'm left with, but I'm just going to say it right now. So wait to the end, because as you were talking about your son, I was like, oh my gosh, for me, like the words that stand out for who you are, and it is being of service. Literally, I was up here going, oh yeah, he's just all about service. You said, you were talking about being a father. You said, we're just there to serve,
Yeah.
Like
it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because a lot of people listen, you guys, if you're over 30, you've at least heard the 5 love languages, right? And they are, for those who are like, yeah, what are they again? Acts of service, gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. And playing around. So I took the little quiz again. It's free online. You can just Google it. Anyway, but for me, acts of service is, that's like number 5. Probably why, as I'm listening, I'm like, wow, you're just all about service.
Yeah.
And I realize that now, that one of the things that I admire are people who serve from that place. You know what I mean? Like there are ways that I serve others, but I'm serving as in it's about the time, it's this, or there are other motivations, but like I really hear how much your soul is lifted up when you get to be of service through love and encouragement and empowerment. So that's
definitely.
Pretty. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely here to be, in this position to be of service to the many, not just to kind of hoard and, do my own thing. Walking that path, it keeps you humble and within the right energy of being productive and being focused. There are some breaks and things, but no, I definitely, if I didn't feel this way and wasn't of service, I wouldn't be able to do this as effectively and really give people the maximum output that they're, looking for. No, it's definitely about being of service to me.
And what I also appreciate about the way in which you value service is you don't do it through the sacrifice of your own well-being.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. It's coming from the source. You have to tap into the source first so that you can express the source, so that you can project that energy. So yeah, you can't sacrifice yourself and your own well-being and then make others happy. You have to be within the happiness frequency, or within that love frequency, love for what you do, to then be that portal where people can look at you and say, I want to have that experience as well. You have to be resonating that, essentially. There's no faking that.
Managing your energy as an undercurrent in a lot of things you shared. Is there a book that stands out as one that really helped you focus on the management of your energy?
I don't think there's a book on that. That came mostly from meditation, from zeroing out, no thought meditation. So just meditation of non-thought, no thinking. And I can get a lot of that from lifting as well, from really just focusing in on the moment, lifting, and then not doing a whole lot of thinking during that time. You can tap into that. And that's kind of like a high excitement, high action, high intensity, 0 point. And then going back and forth. So there's like restfulness throughout the day and regeneration. Most people are going from high excitement, high energy, loving what they do, then to negative. Oh, I hate this. And then that negative is more output of energy. So now there's this dual output and there's no rest. There's no non-thought. Even thought is energy. If they put a monitor on your brain and you were thinking a lot, electric would be firing off. That's energy. So being able to tap into that zero is a conservation and even a regeneration of energy.
Do you do TM or something else?
What's TM?
Transcendental meditation. You're repeating a word and it's supposed to help you get to zero because it would sound similar.
It's similar. I think all forms of meditation are similar because there's only one goal, so they all lead to the same place. Right. And they all work. It's just what works for you.
You drive it. Once you drive it in, you're still getting there.
We're still getting the same place. Yeah.
So the last question, and thank you so much for everything you've shared. Brian, what's something from your profession, from your life experience that would be a benefit for listeners to know, something that they might not, normally think of, or they may underappreciate?
From the profession within real estate, knowledge is everything. A lot of us, when we want to get into real estate, we think we need money. That's the first thing we turn to. So we think, I got to save a bunch of money so I can put down a down payment, or I got to get more money, or money. And we don't understand that lenders have money. There's all these people, all this money out there, and it flocks to knowledge. Because if I walk in a room and I say, well, I have the knowledge and connections to put together a team that can monetize these assets, then they'll give me the money. You don't need the money. You need the knowledge. You need everything but the money, because money is plentiful. These lenders are literally in the business of giving out money. If they don't give out money, they don't make any money. That's their whole business. So they're looking for good people to give money to. And those people have knowledge and connections. So your job is to get tapped in, which is why mentorship can be so powerful, because it can tap you directly into connections and give you the knowledge necessary to advance yourself years, like a decade. And then when you do that, you will need substantially less money, if any at all. So there's two things in real estate: knowledge and money. The more you have of one, the less you need of the other. So if you have $1 million, go do the school of hard knocks, get burned for $500,000 and you'll figure it out. And then you can invest the other half. If you don't have $1 million, you better get the knowledge, invest in the knowledge so that you can go in with 20K and execute like you have 200,000 or $250,000. So that's something that people miss. And most of the people I talk to are so focused on money and saving money. You'll never make enough money doing whatever you're doing to save enough to buy 10 properties in 3 years. You will never do it. But if you learn some of these skill sets, you will be able to connect with the lenders who will give you enough money to buy 10 properties in 3 months.
All right. Just, I'm a visual learner, so I'm the kind of person who would go to the show notes and click and read. Auditory folks who don't need to read it if they hear it. Can you just direct them to a landing page of yours?
Sure. I'm easy to get a hold of. You can find me on YouTube. Brian Loves Cash Flow. Easy to remember because I love cash flow. So Brian Loves Cash Flow on YouTube. On Instagram, Brian Grimes _247 CFU for the 24/7 Cash Flow University. LinkedIn, Brian Grimes Real Estate. You can Google Brian Grimes Explains. You'll find a lot of my videos and content. I'm also on TikTok at Grimes Estate on TikTok for the TikTokers. All of these things will backlink to one of my free trainings that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. So definitely tap in www.workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. And that's a free training. Once again, it'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer.
We're talking to a professional here. You like, I gotta get my skill set up on that. Boom, 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 and boom. I love it. I already said you're of service. Just, check this brother out. Up to something really amazing. Brian, you are a brother who lives a balanced life, who is of service and is making a difference on the planet. Please keep doing that. I'm so glad to be on the same planet with you at the same time. I love what you're up to.
Likewise, I appreciate you having me here. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to 365 Brothers. I certainly hope you enjoyed the episode. I encourage you to subscribe. Please leave a review. I want to know what you think. Also, if you know someone who would be a fantastic guest for 365 Brothers, please direct them to our website, 365brothers.com. You'll also find all the episodes there, 365brothers.com. And your support is welcome. And remember, to listen is to love.